Students, welcome to online classes. Today I am going to teach you the concept of paying banker and collecting banker, which is unit 4 in our syllabus. In this chapter we are going to cover two important concepts, paying banker and collecting banker. First of all, I would like to say you that every bank performs two important functions. That is, it occupies two important positions. One position as a paying banker and as a collecting banker. So who is a paying banker? The bank which makes the payment on behalf of its customers. When a check is drawn on him, then it is called as paying banker. The bank which collects the payment on behalf of its customer is going to be called as collecting banker. I will give you an illustration here. Suppose if you receive a check from somebody who has to make a payment to you, instead of giving a cash, they have given you a check which you are going to collect it from him and deposit the same in your bank. In this particular illustration, your bank is going to act as a collecting banker. That is, your bank is going to collect the money from some other bank on whom the check is drawn, and they are going to be occupying the position of paying banker, which means when you deposit a check for collecting the money or crediting the money into your account, your bank is going to act as a collecting banker. Suppose if you issue a check to somebody for making payment and the person who receives a check from you deposits the same in his bank, in this part of the illustration, your bank is going to make the payment to that person because the check is drawn on your bank. So in this part, your bank is going to act as a paying banker, and the bank which collects the payment for the other person to whom you have issued a check is going to act as a collecting banker. So it is very clear, every banker in different situations, either they act as paying banker or as a collecting banker. So this is what the concept that we are going to discuss today in this particular class. So first we start with paying banker. So now I hope it is clear. The meaning of paying banker is very much clear. But according to definition we are going to discuss here. So paying banker is a bank whose name is printed on a given check. See, in India, every bank, when it issues a checkbook, it is going to be the bearer check what it issues to its customers, and you can see that in your check leaf it will be printed as bearer check. So the name of the bank is printed in the check. This bank pays the specified amount by the check to the collecting banker and withdraws that amount from the customer's account, which means it debits the amount from the customer's account whenever it has to make the payment to collecting banker on behalf of its customers. So by definition, so it is defined by negotiable, according to Negotiable Instrument Act of 1881, section 31 defines drawee of a check having sufficient funds of the drawer in his hands properly applicable to the payment of such a check must pay the check when duly required to do so, and in default of such payment must compensate the drawer for any loss or damage caused by such default. So it specifically says it's a drawee of the check. Drawee is a person on whom the check is drawn. Suppose if you issue a check to somebody for making payment, you are drawing a check on the bank who is going to act as a drawee to make the payment to that person who is the payee. Payee is the beneficiary. In the previous unit we have discussed there are three parties involved in checks. One is the drawer. Drawer is the maker of the check. Drawee is the bank on whom the check is drawn, and payee is the beneficiary who is going to get the value of the check which is issued. So under this particular definition, it is given the drawee of the check having sufficient funds. So the bank, when it has sufficient funds available in the customer's account, that is funds of the drawer in his hands properly applicable to the payment of a check, which means there is no mistake is done in the check is very much proper, it is endorsed, date is properly given, time of payment is given, amount is very clear, no mutilation or material alteration is done in the check is very transparent and clear, and in this situation it becomes an obligation on the part of the paying banker to make the payment to when the check is issued which is drawn on that particular bank. When duly required to do so, that is what is given here, when duly required to do so, and in default of such payment, in case everything is proper and if paying banker does not make the payment because of some misunderstanding what he gets, even though check is clear, there is sufficient funds available, it is duly required to make the payment. If it does not make the payment, then it will be held responsible for the loss or damage caused to the customer or to the payee of that particular, that is the beneficiary of the check. Here the paying banker will be held responsible, which is according to Negotiable Instrument Act of 1881. So in simple terms, if we say paying banker has got the responsibility to make the payment when the check is drawn on him, only thing is he has to keep some of the precautions in the mind. He has to verify the check, whether the check is proper, whether there is a alteration, material alteration is done in the check, or whether the physical condition of the check is good or bad, and he has to check whether there is sufficient funds available in the customer's account. If all these criteria are fulfilled, it becomes an obligation and responsibility to the paying banker to make the payment. In case if all this is clear and if paying banker due to some reason does not make the payment, then he will be held responsible according to Negotiable Instrument Act. Then the next topic which we are going to discuss is essentials of paying banker, which is essential checking that what they have to do while performing the role of paying banker. First of all, they have to verify the proper form of the check. So whether the check is in the good condition, physical condition of the check must be checked, whether the necessary materials that need to be filled by the customer, whether it is filled in the check or not, that need to be verified. Date of the check need to be verified by the paying banker before making the payment. It should not be either antedated check or post-dated check or stale check, that need to be verified. Then the amount written in words and figures is also very essential to be verified of. Then any alterations or overwriting need to be identified. So suppose if somebody has returned the name or the amount, if the amount written in words and figures are not matching, if there is a overwriting done in the check, need to be rejected immediately before making any payment by the paying banker. Then they have to check very important aspect, that is drawer signature. Who is the drawer? Drawer is the customer. So customer is the drawer or the maker of the check who is drawn a check on his bank. So it becomes a double responsibility for the paying banker to verify the signature of the drawer, whether it is matching with the specimen signature that is held under their records. So they have to verify the drawer signature before honoring the check as well as making the payment. So they have to even check whether the check issued is an open check or crossed check, whether it is an open check or closed check. And if it is an open check, suppose by mistake if the customer has dropped an open check in the drop box, instead of collecting the money or withdrawing the money across the counter, so in that situation the banker has right even to cross the check in order to avoid any kind of fraudulent transactions in the name of his customer. So it becomes he becomes duly responsible to protect the customer as a paying banker. In the other situation, if we are talking about, if somebody has given a check, issued a check, if the customer has issued a check but forgotten to cross the check, even in this situation also, paying banker can cross the check before the check is sent for collection from the other bank. So that is also one more thing what we have to understand here. Then sufficiency of funds, he has to check whether the funds are available, funds are sufficiently available in customer's account before honoring the check. Then precautions. The next topic is the precautions that need to be taken by the paying banker. First point under this is proper form of the check, which we have just now completed. Paying banker, before accepting and making the payment, honoring and making the payment, he has to check whether the check is in the good form, whether there is a material alteration, whether there is a mutilation of the check is done, whether there is a overwriting or any changes that is done in the check or not, that need to be observed very clearly. So in that situation, he has to verify the date. I have already told you whether it is a post-dated check or antedated check or stale check, that need to be identified. Then comes the amount of the check. So as we all know, whenever we write a check, we have to enter the amount in both words and figures. So that need to be matched properly. If there is any variations in the amount written in the words and figures, then immediately paying banker has to stop making the payment. So material alteration, materials refers to the entries that we make in the check. That's a simple version of material alteration. Materials means the date or the amount, to whom we are paying, signature, all these are called as materials entered in the check. Any alterations in the materials that we need to enter as per law, if at all there is any alterations or changes or overwriting done in the check, then it is called as material alteration. That we'll discuss in detail now. So material alteration, there is a definition. I am not going to read in detail about that because definitely will get confused. So material refers to the entries like date, time, amount, or any other important things, or even including endorsement. All these need to be properly entered in the check. Certain materials are pre-printed. Say for example, the bank, Drawee Bank name is already pre-printed, check number is pre-printed now, even the name of the customer is also pre-printed. So that is what they have simplified the version of the check, entering the check now, but it is also due to give more and more security to the customer. So these steps are taken according to Banking Regulation Act. So now if we are talking about material alteration, so any alteration done in these materials will be considered as material alteration. If at all any check comes to a paying banker or to the collecting banker, for example, immediately if they identify that there is an alteration which is not acceptable according to law is identified, then immediately paying banker has to stop making payment. So changes in the materials or material alterations is given here, either changing in the date, time of payment, amount, place, rate of interest in case of bills and other negotiable instruments, number of parties by addition or deletion, medium of payment, removal of crossing. Suppose if somebody has crossed the check and if they try to erase the crossing, then also it is considered to be material alteration. All these are considered to be material altered check which will not be honored as well as paid by the paying banker. Then comes the forgery of drawer signatures. We were discussing about the precautions that need to be taken by the paying banker. We completed 4, that is still material alteration. The next precaution is regarding forgery of drawer signature. So if at all paying banker identifies that there is a forged signature in the check, then also immediately they have to stop making payment. How paying banker will come to know that there is a forgery of drawer signature? So as we know, when we open an account in the bank, the specimen signature of the customer will be recorded and it will be available and kept in the account, so that every time whenever either the customer or somebody on the order of the customer goes to the bank for withdrawing money or any kind of financial transaction, they will verify whether the signature is done by the customer or not. So whether it is the genuine signature or not. So here, in case of any forged signature identified by the paying banker, whenever they get the check, they are going to match that with the available specimen signature. If it is not matching, then it will be considered as the forged signature. Okay, so then the next one, the check must be signed by the drawer on its face but not on its back. Whenever you issue a check to somebody for making payment, you should keep it in the mind as a customer, as the drawer of that particular check, the customer has to sign on the face of the check. So it is not on the back side, or the overleaf of the check is not acceptable by the paying banker. Then a check should not be mutilated. Mutilation means any physical tearing or torn checks will be considered as the mutilation. If the physical condition of the check is not in a good condition, if it is torn, then it will not be accepted for making payment. The next one is that a check must be presented within banking hours and working days. That we need to understand. When we are presenting or depositing a check, we have to keep it in the mind. We have to present that in the bank during the banking hours and working days only. Then the next topic, so there ends the precautions of the paying banker when they accept the check for making payment. The next topic what we are going to discuss under paying banker is obligation of the paying banker to honor the checks. So sometimes it becomes, not sometimes, when any bank performs the role of paying banker, it becomes an obligation along with the responsibility to honor the checks which is issued in the name of the customer, because whenever customer issues a check, it will be drawn on this paying banker only. So due to this reason, there is always an obligation on the part of the paying banker to honor the checks. So when it becomes an obligation is a question what we are going to answer now under this particular topic. So when it becomes an obligation, whenever there is a sufficient funds in the customer's account. So customer has got sufficient funds in his account, so he has issued a check to somebody for making payment. At that time it becomes an obligation to honor and make the payment to the person or to the payee. Then when the funds should be properly applicable to the payment of such checks. Funds are applicable, which means a check issued is legally acceptable. So legally it should be honored. In that situation, it becomes the obligation. When the checks should be properly drawn and should not be irregular or ambiguous. So if the check is drawn properly on a particular paying banker to whom it should be issued, under this situation also, it becomes an obligation for the paying banker to make the payment. When checks presented during the banking hours and working days. So the paying banker cannot say that he is not going to make the payment even when it is presented during the working hours as well as working days. Then when checks should be presented for making payment within reasonable time. So within reasonable time mainly specifies here the date of the check. So if the date of the check is properly acceptable according to the act, according to law, if it states that it should be accepted, then paying banker has to honor and make the payment. Topic is statutory protection to paying banker. So a paying banker gets protection as per law in three different situations. First one is protection in case of order check. So order check, in case of order check, the statutory protection to paying banker is as follows. It is given where a check is payable to order to be endorsed by or on behalf of the payee, the drawee is discharged by payment in due course. Under this section, the paying banker is protected if he makes the payment of an order check with forged endorsement on behalf of the payee. The section also protects the paying banker if he makes the payment of an order check with forged endorsement on behalf of payee. That is, if the endorsement is regular but not genuine, if it is not identified by paying banker as the signature, forged signature is not been identified by paying banker, it is the signature of the payee. In that situation, he will be out of liability. Then second situation is protection in case of bearer check. So bearer check implies a check originally issued as a bearer. If a particular check includes bearer on the face of the check and which is not cancelled, the check is called as bearer check. Under this type of checks, the amount is payable to the person directly across the counter, which means the holder of the check can definitely encashed across the counter. And if such check is lost and if somebody else withdraws the money or goes for withdrawal, if that is not been identified by the paying banker and makes the payment immediately as it is a bearer check, which is an open check, in that case the loss caused to the customer cannot hold the liability for the paying banker. So that is the protection. The third type of protection is protection in case of crossed check. The paying banker has to, the meaning of crossing of the check, where we draw two parallel transverse line across the left side of the face of the check with or without the words account payee, etc. So that is what is called as cross check. Once we cross the check, it becomes a closed check, and this kind of cross check cannot be encashed at the cash counter, but it has to be credited into payee's account only. Under this situation, if paying banker gets a crossed check for making payment, he has to honor the cross check according to section 128 of the Negotiable Instrument Act of 1881. So whenever he gets such kind of cross check for making payment and makes the payment in due course, then he cannot be held responsible for any kind of loss or damage caused to the customer. So that is what the protection that we are talking about. So here there is one concept called in due course. So payment in due course of a negotiable instrument is to the holder or after its due date in good faith by payer and with no notice of any defect in title is called as payment in due course, which means he was made payment in due course, that is in good faith, without negligence and according to the apartment tenor of the check, then he cannot be held responsible. The next topic that we are going to discuss is dishonor of the check. Dishonor means not honoring the check. If the bank refuses to pay the amount of the check, then the check is said to be dishonored. Thus, the dishonoring of the check means the refusal by the paying banker to make the payment. There are various conditions for dishonor of the check by the paying banker. Very simple ones are the date. Suppose if any material alteration in the check may make the bank to hold the payment, that is if the date written incorrectly, or if it is a stale check, or if the name of the payee is not written in the check, or if there is mistake in the amount written in words and figures, or any other material alterations done in the check makes the paying banker to dishonor the check. Apart from this, if the customer if the paying banker gets a notice from the customer to stop payment. So suppose if customer before making the payment, if he gives an information or a notice to the banker stating that not to honor the check, then immediately paying banker has to stop making the payment. If bank gets a notice of either death or insolvency or insanity of the customer or winding up of the company, if it is a company's account, in that situation also he has to stop making payment. So during these situations, paying banker stop making the payment, which is called as dishonor of the check. Then suppose if paying banker does not make the payment, if he dishonors a proper check, then there are various consequences which need to be borne by the paying banker, which is called as consequences of wrongful dishonor of the check. So if the banker without any proper justification dishonors the customer's check, the banker makes himself liable to compensate the customer for any loss or damage. So loss or damage refers to any kind of financial damage or loss caused to the customer has to be borne by the paying banker himself. So in the case of in a case if bank fails to honor customer's check, it can be held liable by the customer to pay him the damage. The damages will not be only the loss that the customer might have suffered, but also to his reputation as well. In the second situation, the amount of damages claimed by the customer need not depend on the amount of the check dishonored. The greater will be the amount of damages need to be paid by the paying banker in case of wrongful dishonor. So there ends the concept of paying banker. We'll be moving on to the second part of Unit 4, that is collecting banker. So collecting banker, who is a collecting banker? The term collecting banker refers to the function of receiving the checks by a banker from his customers for the purpose of collecting the proceeds, that is the money, and crediting them into respective customer's account is called as collecting banker. So whenever we receive a check from somebody, we are going to drop the same in our bank, where we have our account, and our bank, we are nominating our bank as a collecting banker. So the responsibility of our bank is to collect money on behalf of us and credit the same into our respective account. So that is what the concept of collecting banker. So whenever the bank gets checks for collection from his customers, he has to send the checks for collection, get the proceeds, credit the same into respective customer's account. There the responsibility will be completely fulfilled. So a collecting banker is one who undertakes to collect the amount of a check for his customer from the paying banker. From whom he is collecting, he has to collect the same money from the paying banker. So there are various duties and responsibilities of collecting banker. So first of all, exercise reasonable care and diligence in his collection work. So he cannot neglect each and every check based on the value of the check or the amount, or whether it is from a reputed person, or whether the amount is very less, or if he is not interested to collect. No reasons can be given by the collecting banker, irrespective of the amount, irrespective of the value of the person, or irrespective of the value of the check which is given or given for the collection. He has to give equal weightage to all the customers for collecting the money from the paying banker. So present the check for collection without any delay. Whenever he gets a check, immediately he has to send it for collection. Notice to customer in case of dishonor of the check. In case if the check is dishonored, which is issued by the some other person to his customers, if they get any information regarding dishonor of the check, immediately the same information need to be passed on to the customer. So the reason for the dishonor, sometimes it will be mentioned, sometimes the customer has to go and verify the reason why the check is being dishonored by the paying banker. Okay, so there are some more which is more appropriate for bill. So presenting the bill of acceptance at an early date, present the bill for payment, or protest and note a foreign bill for non-acceptance. All these are some of the duties and responsibilities of collecting banker. Then rights of collecting banker. Right to collect the charges or refund. So in case of any charges applicable, service charges, or suppose if the check is not cleared, whatever the expenses or the services that he is giving, suppose any charges applicable, those service charges or penalties can be collected from the customers. That is one of the right of the collecting banker. So right to collect the cash on behalf of the customer. So from whom he is collecting the cash? From the paying banker he is collecting the cash on behalf of the customer. Paying banker cannot say that they are not going to make the payment to collecting banker, because he is a collecting banker and he holds the accounts of his customers. So it is his right to collect the money on behalf of its customer. And also it acts as a depository. Who is a depository? One who deposits the money of the customers with him. So he will have a deposit of the customers where the cash will be credited, or all the financial transactions will be looked after by the collecting banker. So he acts as a depository for its customers. So because of this reason, whatever the money that he collects from the paying banker, he will credit the same into the respective customer's account and act as a depository. Under his safe custody, all the cash of the customers will be credited into their accounts. Then capacity of the collecting banker. So collecting banker holds three different performs the functions under three different capacities. First one is as a holder of value. So it holds the values of the customer whenever it collects the money. Then it acts as holder in due course. So he collects the money from the paying banker and credit the same. In between, he will be acting as a holder in due course. And as an agent for collection, so it also acts as an agent to its customer. So as an agent, he sends, that is collecting banker sends the checks for collection, collect the money for its customers. That is where he is acting as a agent to its customers. So three different capacities: as a holder of value, as a holder in due course, and as a agent for collection. The first position of the collecting banker as a holder of value. So sometimes collecting banker holds the value of the instrument for himself. So where he is acting as holder of value. So as a holder of value, when he acts as a holder of value, first of all, if collecting banker advances money to its customer before the realization of the check, and whenever he gets the money from the paying banker after realization, he keeps the money for himself. So that is where he is acting as holder of value. Secondly, if collecting banker settles the loan amount on behalf of the customer. So if customer makes the payment, or if somebody has to make the payment to customer and gets into or credited into customer's account, the same amount will be debited by the banker. Thirdly, where a part of the amount is given by the collecting banker to the customer even before the realization of the check, then at that time, then he will be acting as a holder of value. It is also applicable even when it collects the money from for bill of exchange. So even when customer discounts the bill with the commercial bank, so he makes the payment up to 80% of the value of the bill, and whenever he gets the money from the the seller, he keeps the money for himself, and out of remaining 20% what he is overdue to its customer, he deduct the service charges of 5 to 6%, and remaining amount will be paid to its customer. This is how he makes, whenever he makes an advance payment to its customer before the realization of any instrument, whenever he gets a realization of the instrument, the amount will be held by himself, held for himself as a holder of value, and this is one of the important right of collecting banker. So next one is as holder in due course. Holder in due course. According to Section 8 of Negotiable Instrument Act, a person is a holder of the instrument who is entitled in his own name to the possession of the instrument and to recover or receive the amount from the parties thereto, and it is not every person in possession of the instrument is called as holder. So this is the definition what it says: a person who for consideration, holder in due course, a person who for consideration obtains possession of the negotiable instrument if payable to bearer. Suppose if collecting banker holds a check which is under his possession and it has to be paid to the bearer, then at that time he will be called as, collecting banker will be called as the holder in due course. So he is holding the instrument on behalf of the customers. The payee or endorsee thereof, if payable to order before its maturity, then at that time also he will be, without having sufficient cause to believe that any defect existed in the title of the person from whom he derived his title. So here it says a payee or endorsee to whom the amount need to be paid, but before maturity the amount will be held by collecting banker, where he will be acting as a holder in due course. So the collecting banker becomes holder when pays the amount of the check or credits the amount of the check to his customer's account in anticipation of collection. The banker will be called as holder in due course. Then third position as an agent for collection. So as we know, collecting banker act as agent to its customers, where it undertakes to collect checks or credits the account of the customer only on realization. So acting as agent for collection, there is no risk for actually collection, but it collects on behalf of its customer. It sometimes while doing so he performs the previous functions as well, but as an agent for collection there is no risk involved when he is performing this particular function. The next topic is statutory protection to collecting banker. So as per legal rules and regulations, under certain situations collecting banker will be protected, which means there is no liability and the collecting banker cannot be held responsible under certain situations. So by definition it states a banker who has in good faith received payment for a customer of a check crossed generally or specially to himself shall not, in case the title to the check proves defective, incur any liability to the true owner of the check by reason only of having received such payment. That is, whenever collecting banker is collecting the value of the check for its customer, the check presented to the bank for collection should be crossed always. In case if it is not crossed, then he cannot be held responsible. He has to collect the value of the check or any other instrument in good faith without negligence. And whenever he acts as agent for collection for its customers, he will be protected by law and he cannot be held responsible for any loss or damage caused to his customer. So these are the situations where collecting banker will be protected as per statutory rules and regulations. That is, whenever collecting banker collects the money for the crossed checks, then he will be protected by law. Whenever banker act as agent to its customers, there is no risk involved when he is acting as an agent for collecting the value of the checks or any instrument, so he will be protected. Then the checks should be collected for customers only. He cannot act as collecting banker other than his customers. So if he is collecting only on behalf of its customers, then he will be protected legally. Then he must act in good faith without negligence. In all these situations, he will be protected by law, which is called as statutory protection to collecting banker. There ends this unit, that is collecting banker as well as paying banker. Thank you.